What if I told you that alchemy is happening right now and that only those who are ready can see it? The ancient sages hid a secret so powerful that it only reveals itself to those who have crossed a certain threshold of consciousness. But the question is, have you crossed it? It's no coincidence that you're here. Something inside you has already begun to awaken. You feel that something is wrong with the world, something invisible that keeps people trapped in an endless cycle, but no one seems to notice. You look around and see the repetition. Programmed lives, identical days, automatic thoughts. But you're not like the others. You've started to question things. You feel that there's something beyond matter, beyond what can be touched, measured, or explained by conventional rules. The alchemists knew this. Hermes Trismegistus wrote about it. Plato tried to warn us. Eastern mystics gave it different names, but the truth has always been the same. The visible world is just a surface layer, a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep consciousness asleep. Now, the choice is in front of you. You can ignore this call and go back to how things were, returning to the flow of normality, pretending you never saw, never felt, or you can accept the truth. Alchemy only reveals itself to those who are ready for the soul of the world. And if you felt this call, then maybe the revelation is closer than you think. Creation never begins with order. Before any structure, there is chaos. Before any form, there is raw, undefined matter waiting to be shaped. The alchemists called this Prima Materia, the primordial substance behind all things, the hidden origin that gives life to the universe. But few understand its true meaning. In nature, everything has a starting point. The guitar that echoes a melody can only exist because before it there was a tree. The clothes that cover the body were once a cotton seed growing in the soil. Even the food that nourishes us needs an origin, a root expanding into the earth before it becomes fruit. Nothing comes from nothing. Everything comes from something deeper, more essential. And the key to this mystery lies in the seed. Everything that exists today was once hidden within something smaller. The most towering tree was once a tiny embryo sleeping inside a seed. The wood that now holds up a house began as a simple branch growing at the right time. Even human life starts minuscule, invisible to the eye, only later expanding into material reality. The seed is a symbol of Prima Materia itself, the raw essence that contains all the potential of creation. But there's something deeper to it. Alchemists believe that every seed is trinity-based, as it contains three fundamental elements: the shell, the outer layer that protects what's inside; the endosperm, the nourishing tissue that feeds the embryo; the germ of life, the invisible principle that will one day become something greater. This doesn't happen only in nature. Alchemy teaches that everything in the universe follows this same triple principle. Human beings, for example, are also trinity-based: body, soul, and spirit. We'll dive deeper into this later. But what you need to understand now is that just as a seed needs the right time and conditions to sprout, the same applies to consciousness. The raw material of the physical world can only manifest its true potential through a process of transformation. And this is where true alchemical transmutation comes in. Prima Materia never comes ready. It needs to be refined, worked on, polished. In alchemy, this process is symbolized by fire, because only fire can separate what is pure from what is still contaminated. Gold, for example, isn't born as gold. It must be extracted from the depths of the earth, melted, filtered, purified. And this applies to the human spiritual journey itself. The question is, how many are willing to go through the fire? The Trinitarian seed, the secret code of creation. Prima Materia is the origin of everything, but without an organizing principle, it would remain formless, scattered, and directionless. This is where one of alchemy's deepest secrets comes in. The Trinitarian seed. Everything that exists, everything that grows and develops, follows this principle. In nature, in consciousness, in the very structure of the universe, we always find the same triad, the same hidden code sustaining creation. The ancient alchemists realized that every manifestation of life follows this same rule. Three forces working together, each playing an essential role, none able to exist in isolation without disrupting the balance of the whole. Look at a seed. It's not just a piece of matter waiting to sprout. Inside it lies a perfect system, a sacred triad that holds the key to life. The shell is its protection, the outer barrier that preserves the hidden essence. The endosperm is the nourishment, the sustaining substance that keeps the embryo alive until it becomes independent. And the embryo is the principle of creation, the pure potential that will one day become a tree, a flower, a fruit. This triple structure is no coincidence of nature. It repeats itself on different levels of existence because it reflects the very dynamics of the cosmos. In alchemy, this trinity translates into three fundamental principles: salt, Mercury, and sulfur. Salt is the body, the structure, the foundation that supports physical existence. It is solid, stable, dense. It represents the materialization of energy, what gives form and resistance to things. Without salt, there would be no manifestation, no anchoring in the physical world. Mercury is the soul, the fluid principle that connects things, that creates bridges between opposites. It is the intelligence that permeates matter, the invisible force that makes life pulse, move, and transform. Mercury is the link between realms, the element that allows consciousness to transition between the dense and the subtle. Sulfur is the spirit, the primordial fire, the spark of energy that drives the movement of life. It is the active principle, what generates heat, what fuels growth, what gives direction to the process of transformation. Without sulfur, there is no expansion, no creation, no illumination. And just as every seed contains these three forces within it, every human being carries this same structure inside. The body is salt, the dense matter that sustains existence. The soul is Mercury, the intelligence that organizes and gives meaning to experience. The spirit is sulfur, the vital energy that propels consciousness toward evolution. The great key to alchemy lies in harmonizing these three principles within oneself. A body without a soul becomes empty matter. A soul without spirit loses its driving force and dissolves into stagnation. A spirit without a body finds no means of manifestation and remains dispersed. The secret is not in choosing one over the other, but in integrating all three in a balanced way. And that is why the Trinity is present in all great spiritual traditions: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in Christianity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva in Hinduism, the three worlds in shamanic cosmology, the three principles of Hermeticism. These are not just religious metaphors, they are representations of the same hidden structure that governs creation. But what happens when this harmony is broken? When salt, Mercury, and sulfur fall out of alignment, everything becomes disorganized. If the body is neglected, it weakens and becomes incapable of supporting the spiritual journey. If the soul is unbalanced, emotions fluctuate, the mind fractures, and life becomes a field of confusion. If the spirit loses its strength, life feels empty, meaningless, and without purpose. And this is exactly how most people live, disconnected from their inner trinity. Some get lost in the material world, accumulating possessions, status, power, yet feeling an inexplicable emptiness. Others isolate themselves in spirituality, trying to escape reality, forgetting that the human experience is also part of the process. Others are trapped in their emotions, unable to find stability, oscillating between euphoria and despair. The path of alchemy is not about escaping one aspect to prioritize another. It is about bringing everything into alignment, transforming consciousness into a state of unity. The true alchemist is the one who has learned to align their body, soul, and spirit so that they work together as a single force. And that is why the Trinitarian seed is the secret code of creation. Because everything that grows, everything that expands, everything that transforms follows this same structure. The question is, do you know where your imbalance lies? Because that is where transmutation begins. The mystery of the soul of the world. Everything in the universe is governed by hidden patterns. From the smallest particle to the vastest galaxies, there is an intelligence that organizes, connects, and gives meaning to existence. The ancient alchemists knew that this force wasn't just an abstract energy, but a living presence that permeates everything that exists. They called it anima mundi, the soul of the world. Unlike raw matter, which needs to be shaped and refined, the soul of the world is already in its purest form. It is the invisible fabric that unites all things, the subtle field that keeps everything connected. Plato taught that the universe is not just a collection of separate elements, but a living, breathing organism where every part influences the whole. The ancient Egyptians spoke of a cosmic consciousness that guided nature, allowing the cycles of life to unfold. The Hermetic tradition taught that the soul of every being is a fragment of this universal intelligence, like drops belonging to the same ocean. And this is exactly what alchemy tries to reveal. Consciousness is not individual, but collective. We are all immersed in the same life force, drawing from it what we need to shape our identity. But there's something essential about this. If all souls are part of a single flow, then everything we feel, think, and do affects the whole. Just as a single drop can create ripples on the surface of a lake, every action reverberates through the invisible structure that connects all things. When a person awakens to this truth, their relationship with the world changes. They realize that nothing happens in isolation, that every event, no matter how small, has a purpose within a greater design. Let me share with you a short story that illustrates what we're learning. There was once a young shepherd named Santiago who had a recurring dream one night, a mysterious call to find a hidden treasure at the foot of the Egyptian pyramids. At first, he hesitated. His life was predictable, safe, without major surprises. But that dream unsettled him. He felt that it wasn't just a fantasy, it was a message. Something inside him knew there was more beyond his ordinary reality. And then he met a wise alchemist who taught him one of the greatest secrets of the universe. The soul of the world speaks to those who are open to listening. The alchemist explained that everything has a soul, and that when a person truly desires something, that desire comes from the very heart of the universe. The secret, he said, was learning to observe the signs, because existence always whispers truths to those who know how to listen. The wind, the stars, unexpected encounters. Everything was a subtle language through which the soul of the world manifested itself. At first, Santiago doubted. How could the world speak to him? How could there be an intelligence behind events? But as he continued his journey, he began to notice that coincidences weren't just random, they were coded messages, guiding him toward his true destiny. Every challenge he faced seemed to be a test sent by life itself to measure his determination. Every obstacle made him grow. Every encounter brought a lesson. And when he finally reached his final destination, he realized something unexpected. The true treasure wasn't the gold he was searching for, but the knowledge he had gained about himself and the universe. This story, told in The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, echoes a profound truth. The soul of the world is not something distant or unattainable. It is always around us, trying to guide us, trying to teach us. But only those who have learned to read the signs can recognize its presence. When one understands the soul of the world and its connection to everything that exists, it becomes impossible to ignore one of alchemy's deepest secrets, the balance between body, soul, and spirit. This balance isn't just an abstract concept, but a fundamental principle that governs all existence. When these three forces are in harmony, life flows with fullness. But when they fall out of alignment, blockages, conflicts, and suffering arise. The soul is what gives life to the body, the invisible thread that keeps matter animated. But what happens if that thread breaks? If the soul drifts away, the body weakens. Vital energy starts to dissipate, matter loses its strength, and illness appears as a reflection of this disconnection. The mistake of modern thought is treating illness as an isolated problem, a purely physical imbalance. But the ancient alchemists knew that every disease begins first in the subtle field before manifesting in the flesh. The spirit, in turn, is the flame that gives purpose to existence. When disconnected from matter, it loses direction. Life becomes empty, meaningless. A person may be physically healthy, successful, and achieve everything the world has to offer, Yet inside, they feel an inexplicable void, a fatigue that doesn't come from the body, but from a soul that has lost its way. This is the state of misalignment that consumes so many people without them realizing the true source of their struggle. Alchemists saw healing differently. To them, treating the body alone wasn't enough. The forces that sustain it had to be reintegrated. They believed illness was merely a symptom, a sign that something deeper was out of balance. The true remedy wasn't just in herbs, elixirs, or laboratory distillations. It was in restoring harmony between the three fundamental principles: the body, salt; the soul, Mercury; and the spirit, Sulfur. When the body, soul, and spirit work together, life becomes a balanced dance. A person feels whole, present, connected to themselves and the world around them. But for this to happen, one must recognize where the misalignment is and allow transmutation to take place. But what does transmutation really mean? The fire of alchemy has always been a symbol of transformation. The human spirit is like a flame burning within matter, consuming what is impure to reveal its true essence. But this burning process does not happen without pain. The philosopher Jacob Boehmer described this transformation as a clash between light and darkness. The moment the spirit enters matter, it feels the weight of existence, the limitation of form, the density of physical reality. This moment is described in many spiritual traditions as a fall, but it is not a punishment, it is a trial, a necessary stage for the spirit to grow stronger, to learn, to evolve. Just like the sun that plunges into the waters every night only to rise again on the horizon, the descent of the spirit into matter is merely the prelude to its ascension. Most people feel this pressure at some point in life. They feel the weight of existence, the exhaustion of routine, the frustration of a world that seems mechanical and soulless. But few realize that this feeling is not a mistake. It is a call. Transformation only happens when the spirit recognizes its prison and decides to reignite its own flame. The enigma of the three suns and the secret of rebirth. The fire of transmutation never burns in vain. It purifies, shapes, and transforms. But for this transformation to be complete, we must understand the light that guides us through this process. Just as the spirit needs the body to act in the world, light needs a point of reference to manifest. In the Hermetic tradition, this light is represented by the three suns, three states of consciousness, three phases of the journey, three keys to rebirth. The first is the green sun. It is hidden, cold, still asleep. It represents the soul's initial stage, that moment when the spirit has not yet awakened to its true nature. It is a potential sun, but it has not yet found its own shine. We are all born as a green sun, carrying within us a latent energy, waiting to be activated. But for this sun to awaken, it must descend into the world. The second stage is the red sun, fiery and powerful. It represents the underground energy of the earth, the fire of purification, the phase where consciousness is tested and challenged. This is the moment of intense transmutation, where raw matter dissolves, where pain turns into wisdom, where the spirit struggles to find its true path. And then there is the rosy sun, the fusion of spirit and matter, the perfect balance. This is the final state of the journey, where the seeker integrates all forces within. The rosy sun is not just a symbol of enlightenment, but of absolute harmony. It represents the moment when body, soul, and spirit vibrate at the same frequency, without conflict, without resistance. But here's something that few understand. These suns are not just stages we go through once. They repeat. Life is cyclical. Consciousness evolves in spirals. We go through phases of dormancy, then periods of intense transformation, and then we find balance, until a new cycle begins. This movement never ends because alchemy is not a destination but an ongoing process, and this process is what the ancients called the great work. The true alchemist does not seek gold but rather the elevation of their own consciousness. The philosopher's stone, mentioned in so many Hermetic texts, was never a physical object. It was always a metaphor for the supreme realization of the human being. This inner work is divided into three main phases: Nigredo, Albedo, and Rubedo. We won't go into detail about them here, as we've discussed these phases in previous videos. I'll leave the links below. What's important to understand now is that those who grasp this secret do not despair in the face of life's challenges. They know that every crisis is a new nigredo, every lesson is a new albedo, every achievement is a new rubedo. Life moves in waves, and those who master this art learn to ride the flow of existence without clinging to phases, without fearing change. But there's something even deeper. The great work is not just individual, it is collective. The soul of every human being is connected to the soul of the world, and when one awakens, their light spreads. Consciousness is contagious. A single awakened spirit can illuminate many others, just as one flame can light countless candles without losing its own glow. This is the true mission of the alchemist, to be a bridge between the invisible and the visible, between spirit and matter, between chaos and order. Transmutation is a silent process. Many times it happens without us even noticing, in the small details of daily life, in the subtle changes that shape our path. As the seeker advances on the alchemical journey, they begin to notice something different. Life no longer unfolds as it once did. Coincidences become frequent. Answers appear before the questions are even asked. Unexpected encounters start to feel like carefully written scripts by something greater, and then, without warning, the soul of the world reveals itself. It doesn't arrive as an overwhelming flash or a revelation detached from reality. It shows itself in the everyday, in the signs that were always there but were once ignored. It's in the person who appears at the right moment with the exact message you needed to hear. In the book that shows up out of nowhere, just when you were meant to read those words, in the path that opens when everything seemed blocked. The soul of the world is always speaking. The problem is that few have learned how to listen. Many reach this understanding but continue living as before. They know that reality is more than what the eyes can see. They know they are connected to something greater. They know they have power over their existence, but they keep this knowledge buried like hidden gold, never putting it into practice. Alchemy is not just about understanding, it demands action. The true alchemist is not the one who merely understands the mysteries of existence, but the one who applies them in life, the one who observes the signs and acts, the one who recognizes the cycles and flows with them, the one who doesn't just accumulate theories but transforms every experience into real learning. And now comes the final question. Are you ready? But before you go, I have a few messages. I've prepared a special video to help you take the next step on this journey. If you'd like to support the channel and help spread this knowledge to more people, I've pinned a comment with book recommendations, a link for direct donations if you want to contribute, and if you'd like to highlight your message in the comments, you can use the super thanks button here on YouTube. That way, besides supporting the channel, your message will stand out and I'll give it special attention. I truly appreciate your support. Feel free to suggest new content. See you in the next video.